Hey again, it's Ben from Sagenverse here to walk you through how to build your first tour. I'm going to have you take a look at your left-hand side menu here and look for the Tours button. Our Tours menu here is where you would manage all the different tours you can create for your space. One of the cool features of Sagenverse is every room can have as many tours as you'd like to build. So since this room has no tours built, I'm going to go ahead and create my first tour, and it's going to give me a menu a form here that lets me name my tour, and let's just call it um, five oops, five images to look at. You can provide any amount of description. It's 5 images you can look at. And now that I've made my first tour entry, my tour currently has no stops. So what it's asking me to do now is move my camera around the space, so I can use the click to walk or my WSAD or however I'd like to navigate the space. I can use the first person camera, or I could also go into free camera by pressing Shift F, and you can see that mode switch down here in the bottom right hand corner. So I'm in free cam, first person, and back to free cam. And free cam is one that I like to use because it lets me get more interesting camera angles, but it's up to you how you'd like to do it. So I'll go ahead and switch back to free cam and get my first vantage point. So I'm going to get real close to this first picture, and I am also considering the entire frame of the screen. So while this menu image may be over top of my camera view, I am thinking about this full camera view left to right as a framing for my tour. So I've got my first vantage point. I'm going to click and create my first tour stop. And with that, we have a tour stop that's been added to our list here. And we can go make another stop. So if we want to work quickly, I can go ahead and just stub in all these different tour stops. So there's 3, 4, and 5. So now that I've got my 5 tour stops, I can go back to any one of my tour stops by clicking on the thumbnail to take a look at each one of the tour stops individually. By default, it will use the term new tour stop, but most likely you're going to want to change some aspect of that name. And to do that, you click on the pencil tool here. And you can use the form here to describe what the stop is and provide a title, a description, and then you'll get options for editing the camera's point of view, adding an optional audio clip, eventually adding a transition audio clip that is a means to play audio between stops, and then setting up some interactions that either your guest will be required to advance the tour, or that the tour will automatically progress to the next stop once the audio clip is done. So also, your title and description is an optional visual element, but it's on by default. So if I was to give this a title and a description, I can update the stop, and then it will update my tour stops here on the side. So now my first tour stop says it's a title. So I can go on like this, and I'll actually show you now turning off, say, the title and description for stop 2. And once I'm done with my tour, I can click Finish Editing Tour, and it will save for me here the room, and I can use the view to go back and see what a tour would look like for my guests. And so this is tour stop 1. It has a title and it has a description. If I was to provide a longer description, this box is expandable and lets my guest read a bit more about the tour stop. And they can use these controls at the bottom or their arrow keys on their keyboard to progress between all the different stops. So you can see I turned off the description for tour stop number 2, but I re-enabled it for tour stop number 3 and 4 and 5. And once you're done with the tour, you can click exit to go back to editing. And you can move on to add more tour stops to your tour by going back to edit, and say we wanted to add a 6th stop. Maybe we wanted to look at all the pictures at once. Add that as a tour stop. And you can add as many tour stops as you like. And then when you publish the room, that will show up in the list of tours that your guests can view, and they can step through your tour. So that's the basics of tours. Hope you have fun building a lot of great tours, and we'll see you in the next video. This has been Ben with Sagenverse. Thanks.